It seems like we're living in an alternate universe with a world that's just upside down, blaming Israel for the atrocities of October 7th. Listen to how Dr. Phil responds to a Hamas sympathizer in this masterclass.
I would go as far to say that it hasn't just been a genocide for the last 18 months. Palestinian people have been facing a genocide since the establishment of the State of Israel in 1948.
This land belonged to the Jewish people long before 1948. But I'm glad that you brought that up, because in 1948, if we're talking about the rule of law, you're quite right. Because in 1948, there was an establishment and it was accepted by Israel, but it was rejected by Palestine. They have had numerous opportunities to have a two-state solution since at least the 1940s.
Why would Palestinians accept giving 51% of our land to 6% of the population that was newly immigrated at the time? Why would anyone accept settler colonialism? We fought against British colonialism. We fought even against the Ottoman Empire. Why would anybody accept willingly to be colonized?
So what do you want to happen? What do you want to happen? The Palestinians have rejected a two-state solution on 13 different occasions beginning in 1937 with the Peel Commission, the UN partition plan. I can go on up through and including 2020. So what do you want to happen?
I believe that one democratic state where people of all different religions can live together in peace, as they did prior to the establishment of the State of Israel in 1948, where you are not granted supremacy based on your religion. And I believe that the indigenous people of Palestine, should be repatriated, should be given the right of return as stipulated in UN Resolution 194, which none of these solutions that you just posited, and these two-state solutions allows that, as an option. I believe that there must be reparations for the Palestinian people who've lost their land, who've been languishing in refugee camps and neighboring Arab countries for decades, for over 75 years at this point, and those who wish to live peacefully among their neighbors, who wish to be part of the Palestinian nation building project, can continue to do so. We even have Jewish people in my group within our lifetime. So,
how many Jews live in Gaza now?
Well, if you're going to bring that up, Israel is actually the one who decided to withdraw their population. So,
yeah.
And under this context of siege, blockade, and genocide, this is just a silly argument to bring up to begin with. You cannot have peace without justice.
Okay, and Jews have lived in the land for over 3,000 years despite conquest and exiles. Modern Israel is legally recognized. It's the San Marino Conference, the UN international treaties. They've never abandoned their claim to the land, ever. And there's no independent Palestinian state ever existed before Israel. There was never a Palestinian state ever before Israel, ever.
Okay, well, Ireland and Italy also didn't exist up until like the 20th century. The concept of nation states is fairly new. Palestinian people existed. And yes, the people in that region, there were Jewish people, Christian people. Palestine is a land of, the Abrahamic religions. A lot of those Jewish people actually converted to Islam. If you look at the genealogy of a lot of Palestinians.
Are you saying that Israel is an apartheid state?
Because genetic testing is actually illegal in Israel.
Are you saying that Israel is an apartheid state?
Israel's beyond an apartheid state. It's a settler colonial genocidal state.
Really? Then why are there equal rights for Arab citizens in Israel?
There aren't equal rights. There's over 51 discriminatory laws against Palestinian citizens of Israel, and you're excluding millions of Palestinians by even just focusing on them. You're also excluding Palestinians in exile like myself, and Palestinians who are in refugee camps scattered across the world in exile, unable to exercise their right of return.
If it's an apartheid state, how are 1.8 million Arab citizens living in Israel? It's 20% of the population. They have full rights. They vote, they work, they run for office, they own property. They have more rights and freedom in Israel than in any Muslim country on the face of the earth. How is that apartheid?
Dr. Phil, well done. Very, very impressive. I mean, how do you explain to a hateful fool that will not accept the truth? To compare Israel to Italy or to Ireland is nothing short of pathetic. I mean, those are relatively recent countries. Israel is called the Promised Land for a reason, because in the Bible, which is the world's most popular book in the history of the world, God promises the land to the Jewish people many, 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 many times. That's why it's called the Promised Land. It's not a country that we happen to conquer like all of Europe, like America, like much of the West. Israel is a country, the only country in the world that is a gift from God to the Jewish people. No other country in the world was given by God to any particular nation. To fight against Israel is the rejection of God. Those who believe in God accept Israel's right to the land of Israel. But those who choose to reject God believe that Israel is a settler, colonial state, perhaps, that moved in 1948, that came out of nowhere. So if you're a believer, like this woman supposedly is, she believes in the Bible, she refers to the Abrahamic religions as if Palestine was a state in the days of Abraham. The Palestinians can't even pronounce the letter P. They can't pronounce the letter P. This is clearly an invented state, an invented nation that doesn't have a shred of history, not a statesman, not a verse of poetry, nothing prior to when they were invented in 1967. Believers of the world unite. We stand with God. We stand with Israel. We stand against hate.